Now, get a load of this one. Breaking. Get a load of this one. America's first Muslim federal judge, Zahid Qureshi, is now threatening to haul in DHS and DOJ officials, get ready, if they continue arresting illegals and refusing to release them into the U.S. It's insane. We're literally giving power to foreigners that hate us and hate our country. This Biden judge is trying to block ICE from operating, should be removed from the bench. How the hell is ICE supposed to allow illegals who have no right to be here to be released on bond? They can be released without bond in their own countries. Trebuchet, launch them away. So once again, not trying to make you Islamophobic or anything. Dude, I keep having people in my chat being like, is he foreign? Bro's name is Zahid Qureshi. What do you mean, is he foreign? Are you serious? Anyway, not trying to be racist or anything, but like this dude ain't a straight white Christian. I'm just saying. I'm noticing he's not a straight white Christian male. Let's be honest for just a second. Here we have a foreigner in the government as a judge, quite literally trying to end immigration enforcement. Like, this is insanity. We don't need to live like this. We do not need to live like this where we are bringing people in, giving them power over us, and then they're destroying us. Now, to understand the level of dominance that we are about to witness in Texas, as well as in New York, we'll get to Texas, don't worry. This is McDonald's advertisement throughout all of Europe. This is in Germany specifically. During the day, they don't put French fries in the McDonald's thing because happy Ramadan. But at night, the billboard does have French fries because Ramadan, you fast during the day and you eat all night long. So essentially, not even exaggerating, they don't want to offend Muslims by putting food on billboards when Muslims are fasting. This is the level of capitulation that we're witnessing. And this is fucking McDonald's. This is McDonald's. They don't want to deal with that shit, all right? Now, the craziest thing is McDonald's food isn't halal, right? They're not allowed to eat it anyway. Like, it's not like McDonald's is even food for Muslims. It's not halal food. Muslims can't eat at McDonald's. But they still don't want to offend them. And they're not even customers. They're just afraid they're going to burn down their stores if they see French fries. This is a real thing, and it's all of their ads throughout all of these European cities. Happy Ramadan, buy a McPlant burger, except the box is closed and you can't see the food. But at night, the box opens. This is insanity. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. This is crazy. Quite literally, they're afraid of terrorist attacks. They're not even talking to potential customers. This is unbelievable. I'm dying here. Like imagine needing to live like this. This is an actual insane world. Now, you have to understand how Ramadan was being celebrated. Not by everyone, obviously, God forbid. But by certain Pakistanis. They literally say directly they celebrate Eid, which is part of the Ramadan holiday, by raping British girls.
Eid rapes. That is one of the shocking allegations coming out of Rupert Lowe's independent inquiry into the rape gangs.
By the way, this was covered up by the British government and is only being released now.
That had stretched across Britain. It was launched just this week.
Today marks the beginning of something long overdue. Today we open the hearings of our independent rape gang inquiry. 2 full weeks of evidence, testimony and scrutiny. 2 weeks in which survivors will finally be heard.
The crowd-funded inquiry, backed by £600,000 from 20,000 ordinary Brits sick of the cover-ups, has just heard testimony that should make every decent person in this country feel rage. Survivor Fiona Goodard spoke of her experience.
There was a phone call once where she tried reporting me missing and she said I was being picked up by Asian men and I was being abused. Now,
Asian men means Pakistani Muslims, by the way. It doesn't mean Chinese guys. Just trying to understand where to target your racism.
the call handler said back to her, you can't describe them as Asian men because that's racist. You should just be glad your child is being taught a different culture.
What?
She didn't mince her words, and she claims that gangs of predominantly second-generation Pakistani men and other mostly immigrant men targeted vulnerable, white, working-class girls. Here is a damning direct quote from rape gang survivor, that same one there, Fiona Goddard at Rupert Lowe's rape gang inquiry. She said this: "Some Pakistani men celebrated the Islamic festival of Eid by raping young, white girls."
Isn't that a nice way to celebrate the holiest day of the year? I don't know, man. I personally do other things on holy days. But listen, multiculturalism is beautiful. It's our greatest strength.
Yes.
Someone in my chat just said, I hope this isn't real. This is real. This is confirmed. This is a fact. And you're racist for knowing it.
You heard that correctly. Eid rapes, a religious holiday twisted into an excuse.
Nux, why'd you say it's coming out now? Muslim grooming gangs have been a thing for decades. No, you misunderstand what's going on in the United Kingdom. The grooming gangs have been around for decades with hundreds of thousands of white British girls that were victims to these grooming gangs. The government has been covering them up to the largest extent that they possibly could. And right now, finally, because of Rupert Lowe and crowd-funded inquiries, they're finally getting evidence and testimony together of the actual victims. And they're releasing the details now because everyone knew this was going on, but it was a cover-up. Now, the details are absolutely damning.
Used for barbaric sexual violence against British children. Marilyn Horne, CEO of Freedom from Abuse, said, "I've been called racist, I've been called
That's
all
right.
sorts of things.
That's right.
I don't care because I know
Coming to Texas, near you.
I'm right. They are not interested in protecting our women, girls and boys because they quite like it in this country." She went further.
Right.
Some of these girls have been taken from pillar to post, raped in lay-bys, on filthy mattresses, in hotels, backs of taxis. This is across the country. It is endemic. It is everywhere. These are not animals. They're monstrous, barbaric, evil, vile men, and they have got no moral compass. None. That is damning, isn't it? There is
Yeah, so anyway, pretty wild how this just started happening all of a sudden. Now, for those of you that want to understand the level of bullshit going on in England, all right, you have to recognize the insanity of the government. So this is Rupert Lowe, the guy running for the right wing right now.
So much of the human rights for foreign paedophiles, sex pests and murderers
is not giving way. Members may disagree with what he's saying, but we will conduct this in an orderly way.
What about the human rights of the British people? The right not to be raped, stabbed and killed by foreigners who should never have been in our country to begin with.
That's right.
Please spare me the continued moral outrage.
That's right. Shut the fuck up, you absolute degenerates. Right, human rights for the rapists, but not human rights for the British girls getting raped. Right, so Tommy Robinson is actually he fled England because he said something Islamophobic, and they want to put him in jail again. He was in solitary confinement in prison for years because he was Islamophobic in Britain. So he ran from Britain for now, and he's been making his rounds on different podcasts. And dude is not holding back at all, basically warning us what is coming to every one of these areas that open up our borders to people of specific influence.
Yeah, they're not here to work. They're not here to assimilate or integrate. They're here to dominate. Yep. And that's not every Muslim, yeah? But the per se, you have to look at the broad numbers. And I'll give you some numbers, yeah? In the UK, Muslim men make up 3% of the population. They're responsible for 90% of the convictions for rape gangs.
There it is! Right, everyone thought 13% of the population committing 50% of the violent crimes was bad. What about 3% of the population committing 90% of the gang rape? What about that? How's that for a statistic? Like, what? Nothing will make you racist and Islamophobic like facts. All right, it might ruin your life.
90% from a 3% population. Now, 30% of the men convicted are called Mohammed. If you go to Sweden, 63%...
30% of rapists in England are called Mohammed. What? Are you kidding me? Like, what? Let's be real for a second. That's insane.
The rapes, Muslim migrants. There's about 15% Muslim population, but 63% of the rapes. Paris, 77% of the rapes are Muslim migrants. Austria, 48% of the rapes are Muslim migrants. Germany, 58% of the rapes are Muslim migrants. Now, go ahead, finish. Yeah, all these things, so migration and immigration is meant to benefit the nation.
Yeah.
So if we look in Germany, since Angela Merkel, I just said 58% of the rapes are foreign national Muslim migrants. 11% of the rapes in that country last year were by Syrian nationals. They're from Syria. Their passports from Syria. They're born in Syria. They've been brought into the country. We're told, Germans are told, for diversity. It's not for diversity. You opened your borders. You let 1 million men in. You didn't know who they were. Just look at the rape statistics that have gone up from 2017 to 2022. The rapes have gone up 45% in Germany. In the UK, 2023 to 2023, our rapes went from 8,800 to 88,000.
Bro,
88,000 rapes in and that
88,000 rapes a year, bro.
It's gone
From 8,000 to
8,000 to
88,000?
88,000. Now you take that same statistic and go another 20 years, you're talking 1 million rapes, 880,000 rapes, and nothing's going to stop it. Nothing's stopping it. They're not stopping it. The men that are coming in are hostile. An Afghani is 22 times more likely to commit a sexual assault and rape in Britain than any other nationality, than British nationality.
Bro.
Why are they coming in?
Why are we doing this? Like, why we're killing ourselves, and these numbers are gonna offend you, and they're Islamophobic and stuff. But it's unbelievable. And this dude's been going everywhere spreading this.
My investigation identified 260, so that's 26%. Another inquiry into Telford by a law firm identified over 300. So 20 to 30% of the men in that town were raping our children.
If that's not the most radicalizing shit in the world, I don't know what is. Now, again, I don't want the 30% of Muslim rapists to ruin it for the 70% of Muslims that just want to integrate and live a peaceful life. But we don't need to open our borders to this. We don't need to do this to ourselves. We don't need to kill ourselves like this, dude. This is insane. Now, in fact, this just happened today, actually, or last night, rather. Scum once again defaced the greatest leader Britain ever had. This is Winston Churchill's monument, absolutely vandalized with the Free Palestine shit, globalized the Intifada. All right, like, it's insane. They are welcoming people into their country that hate them and want to overthrow them. It's not right, bro. It's ridiculous. And it's this weaponized empathy that's completely insane. In Spain, a Senegalese migrant who raped a 14-year-old girl will pay a fine instead of going to prison. What? 26-year-old migrant raped a girl that he met on Instagram. Despite the migrant admitting in court he raped a kid, he was sentenced to 60 days of community service and a fine. Essentially, that's just legalizing rape if you pay for it.
Say something negative online about Islam, make a hateful comment against LGBTQ or trans or any of these narratives and agendas, and you'll face prison. What they are basically doing is legalising the rape of our daughters and our women in Europe. We see this in Sweden, we see it in Germany, we see it in the UK. No prison sentences for migrants and refugees who are entering our nation and raping our women. Like, how can that make sense? How can you get 31 months in prison for a tweet?
That's quite literally the suicidal empathy of the West. All right, we have given feminism all the power to have empathy for the retards that we're bringing into our country, and they're killing us.
Like Lucy Connolly, but you don't go jail for child porn or raping our women. We need a revolution within every institution in Britain.
Yeah, quite literally. And so I just wanted to go on this little side tangent before we get into the Texas situation, because it is coming here too. All right, thank God it's much less. It's not as major. Now, in Dublin, one of the safest cities in the world in 2003, Dublin, one of the top 10 most dangerous cities in Europe in 2024. What changed? What happened in those 20 years? What happened in the 20 years since 2003 to 2024? What happened that made it one of the safest cities in the world to one of the top 10 most dangerous cities in Europe? Can you explain that to me for a second? What happened? What changed? Who was brought in? Now, this is complete insanity. It doesn't stop, and it's every day.
Individual family stories. One of the very first was from a grandfather who rang from Rotherham, who wanted to talk about his granddaughter. 1 month after her 13th birthday, she'd gone to school and then gone missing, and the school had rung her mum, who'd immediately rung the police, who'd said, "Don't worry, love, she'll turn up as soon as she gets hungry." She didn't turn up that afternoon, that evening, and at 2:30 in the morning, the next morning, a woman on the other side of Rotherham had picked up the phone and dialed 999 because she'd heard a young girl screaming in the house next door. Police had gone round to the house. They found this 13-year-old girl with another young girl. She was almost completely naked, she was blind drunk, and she was with 7 adult Pakistani men.
Oh, this man's racist. Put him in jail. That's essentially what we're doing here. Put him in jail. He's being racist. He's racist. Put him in jail. Churches are on fire. Almost every day there's another church burning down. Yesterday there was a church on fire in Italy. The day before there was a church on fire in Montreal in Canada. The day before there was a church on fire in England. It's probably a coincidence that all these churches decide to simultaneously combust with no investigations. All right, look, here we have Canada. All right, this is what Canada's going through too. It's the same.
And Canada is a white supremacist, colonial, racist project, as is Israel, as is the state of Israel. So I don't even consider myself to be a Canadian because this is indigenous land and this land is occupied. So
again, this is coming from Muslims, the #1 colonial people in the history of the world. How are there 56 Muslim countries? All right, so Canada is importing people that say, I don't see myself as a Canadian, I'm here to conquer Canada.
Land is occupied. So the people who are here, whether they are settlers, we firstly need to educate ourselves about what has happened on this land and what is continuously happening in order for us to be able to understand what our government or this government is doing on abroad and on overseas.
This is the resistance that we're going to continue to see, and as a result, neighboring countries and those who are fighting in solidarity all around the world will also rise with the Palestinians, and we will see. And then I
said this before, I'll say it again. The Palestine cause is a fake cause on a fake genocide that never happened because Palestinians decided to be terrorists, murder and rape a lot of innocent people, and then they lost a war that they started. And now Palestine has been utilized as this gigantic retard Trojan horse for morons across the Western world, basically saying, look at what's happening in Palestine. They lost a war that they started and they're using human shields. Well, now we have to rape your women. That's how it works. Sorry, rise up. Rise up. Now we have to rape your women in Canada now or something. And it's essentially what we're seeing, right?
Let go.
Like, you are getting images like this coming out of every single migration-heavy country.
What's going on? Let go of her. Let go of her.
Give me my phone. She's my girlfriend. You can't.
Well, you can't touch her like that. What happened? Did she fall off?
Right, so his girlfriend that he's dragging down the street. Like, dude, this is insane shit. It really is. It's unbelievable. And we're forced to tolerate this. We're forced to say this is normal. All right, meanwhile, these are the people we're bringing in. All right, in Bangladesh, Muslim men are protesting women's rights by hanging female effigies and beating them with shoes. You really think these are the people? These are the people? Like, are we serious? These are the people that we're bringing into our countries? Like, these are the people that are going to assimilate with our values? Like, what are we even talking about? Like, quite literally, people are trying to bring in people from these cultures into our cultures. Why? Why should we do this? Why should we be forced to do this? It's complete insanity, right? And you see, like, even people like Nick Shirley asking basic questions, right? He's not some hard-hitting Islamophobic guy, right? Asking basic questions, and every single response is just like, wow, holy shit. They hate us and want to dominate us and conquer us.
Now you have all these Islam men yelling Allah Akbar. I have a question for you guys. If America were to get in a war with a country like Iraq, who would you guys defend, America or Iraq?
We won't get in a war. That's not permissible for us. But at the same time,
yeah, because Muslims are known to be peaceful people that have never started any wars.
Who would you defend first?
We would support our brothers in Iraq.
We're importing people that quite literally want to overthrow us.
That's the only way.
So you wouldn't defend America?
We would not defend America.
But you're American.
But at the same time, listen. At the same time, America is our country because we.
There it is. There it is. America is our country, but we would fight on Iraq's side instead of America's side. But America's our country, therefore we have rights.
We were born here, but
we are born here. We conquered you. All right, it's our country. We conquered you, but we would fight against you because we hate you and we want to destroy you.
Islamic book. We're not allowed to fight with people that are against our religion, so we just take up the jail time.
So you would
That's
not.
what we do.
So you would not defend America.
I would go to jail instead of fighting for America.
Great. Terrorists in our country. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. We are importing incestuous goat fuckers into our country that quite literally directly admit that they want to fight on behalf of our enemies.